Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Momentum Movers with Donnell Price. Um, and there we go again with the thing, right at the beginning. And I think I could work on editing that out in the future. I probably won't worry about saying my this week, considering what happened in the markets and how I feel. And I think I should take that back. I will consider or make consideration, keep trying to improve my speech, even on this video, regardless of how I feel about what happened this week in trading, and we'll also get into that. But just like with trading, it's important that we exercise discipline with the things that we do outside of trading as well. It's a muscle, it needs to be developed inside and outside of trading, just in life in general, right? We had a very exciting week this week in the markets. We'll get into the charts soon. And I think we should just move right into it, going first with the economic calendar. This is last week, the week that just passed. We had a somewhat uneventful Monday. Not price action wise. Price action was very, again, dynamic. But as far as news events, there were no news events on Monday. Nothing really on Tuesday. Waller speaks. We got core PPI. That moved the market a bit. And the minutes, I don't remember the minutes being too eventful. I think we got a little volatility. Core CPI, that moved the markets. And Friday, well, we all know what happened Friday. Friday was a bit of a, I don't know what word to use for that, a bit of a mulligan, a bit of a humdinger, if you will. Not really sure what to call it. We'll get into that. Let's get right into the charts. I mean, that's what we're here for. No, sorry. Got to keep things in context. We build context first, then we talk about charts, right? That's the most structured way to present and to also trade. Going into next week, what do we have next week on the docket? Empire State. So starting next week, we do get some news out early on in the week. We get Empire State. I'm not sure how that'll move the markets. I have my annotation tool so that I don't just have to have you look at a mouse. But yeah, we get Empire State. We have Harper speaking also on Monday. So it's kind of a light day. Tuesday we get retail sales. That's usually a market moving event. So you could expect some volatility early on, pre-market, going into the open. Industrial production, that'll give you insight on what we're doing, especially going into the holiday season. You'll want to be mindful of if companies are gearing up, producing things. If to produce things, money has to be moving. For money to be moving, the economy has to be strong, right? And it all comes down to what old J Powell's doing, right? There we go again with the But man, just back to back, right? Let's how do I clear the screen? I want to clear the screen. There we go. Sorry about that. Wednesday, we go into building permits. We have Waller and Harper. It's just the week of Harper and Waller this week. Or was it Waller last week, Harper this week? But we got a lot of Fed speak this week. Unemployment claims. That's always important. So Thursday will be a Wednesday, Thursday. That'll be a loaded day. And then we kick off into Friday with just Harper. And don't forget, also on Thursday, we got J Powell. So what I get out of this is we have some very key news events like unemployment claims. And then we have retail sales. But what I'm noticing is we have a lot of Fed speak. So you can expect the markets to, they'll talk them up, they'll talk them down, right? They'll talk them both ways. They'll talk them all around. I would especially in context of what we experienced this week, I would definitely keep your head on a swivel going into any expectations for, if you, I would not expect price to trend next week. There's a lot of important news, and we also have a lot of opportunity for Fed manipulation, being that we have pre-market, post-market commentary from Fed members, right? So they could set expectations early on and before trading really gets started, and then come back and reset in the afternoon. Then you'll come in and you'll see some news, and then they'll come right back midday. Then you get into Thursday, you have unemployment claims, and they're just constantly resetting expectations. Any one of these Fed events, they could say something and make the algos go in a particular way. You have to be mindful of that. We live in the 21st century now, where you have bots trading markets that listen to Fed speak, and yeah, that's a whole nother story. We won't get into that. But the point is, you can expect dynamic price action next week as well. Let's get right into the charts. We'll get into that in a minute, starting with the VIX. Where did we go on the VIX? Let's turn off all the trend lines. I think I typically don't use my indicator, but we're gonna keep it on this video as well, because I don't, should I switch it up? Let's switch it up and go to a blank chart. Let's get to a blank chart, something more clean, easy on the eyes for presentation. I think that would be fair to you guys, the viewers. Yeah, give me a second. Let me just put this over here for a sec. Excuse the Spider-Man. All right. There. Okay. So switching to a daily, cleaning it up a bit. There we are. This is what we're used to for presentation purposes. I think it's a lot cleaner, easier on the eyes. Getting right into it. We're starting at the VIX. VIX, you can see the pop, right? Elevated, bouncing off the white EMA right here. So yeah, price range was a bit increased as far as this week. From the highs and the lows, that's on the daily. That's like Friday. I think we could switch to a weekly, and yeah, so Monday we got that pop, so volatility did decrease, but ultimately ending the week higher. We'll kind of speed through these. Crude oil, we have the events in Israel, and they're impacting the markets again. Let's take hide everything. There we go. All right, so yeah, we as far as the weekly candle, big inside bar, you can expect that to run off to the upside. Ultimately, we should be looking, upwards of 100 for oil, considering that the events that are taking place in Israel between Hamas, they're just now ramping up. Last I heard, they had a couple 100,000 troops over the border, and they were giving warnings saying you got 24 hours to get out. I haven't looked at the news as of this morning, since that would be about 24 hours here coming up soon. I'll be probably checking that out after I finish this video. Yes, so as far as the daily candles, crude has, over the course of the week it sold off, but ultimately we closed on the highs. Very, very bullish sentiment after a nice gap fill. This being the gap, we filled it, boom, to the upside. Good job. All right, so moving on along, QQQ semis. We could take a look at semis. I think we were talking about semis and how there should be a trend line here. I probably should stay consistent with the charts I have for the stream, but if you see the head and shoulders right here, head, I mean shoulders, head, shoulders, I wasn't expecting so much of a pronounced break of it, but we're closed back under it. You can expect a rotation down to equal lows coming in the near future. There's also a lot of thin structure right here to retrace through. Shouldn't expect too much you know, resistance, not upside resistance, but like water moves in the path of least resistance, so does electricity. Price also does the same. Least resistance is to the downside. You'd want to be looking for any consolidation under to rotate lower, right? Bitcoin, we could take a look at Bitcoin. It's an old chart I used to trade. Take a look at Bitcoin, any Bitcoin holders. A weekly time frame, nice head and shoulders. Wait, didn't mean to do that. Let's get rid of that line. But yeah, if you draw a horizontal right there, we have a nice head and shoulders on the weekly time frame. I would expect lower, if you zoom on in to shorter time frames. See if we could get in here. We had a double top formation right there, broke down. And if you draw a horizontal right there, you could see lower below there. Clean that up. So the level you want to be mindful of would be right here. I could get that exact level if you like. It would be, if I had to draw a horizontal level to be mindful of, it would be 25,590. We break 25,500, just call it an even 25,500. If we break that, you can expect much lower on Bitcoin, right? You would be at least at a minimum rotating down here. We could get that level as well. 25,500 breaks away for 16,250. All right. Take it one day at a time. There's probably a few levels in between, but like I say, least resistance is, if we break the 500s, 25,500, expect I don't know, what is that? It's little less than 50% decrease, right? I think 12 and change, so a little more than 50% decrease in price. A little less than 50%, around 30-35% decrease. And we can measure it. I forgot, this is Trading View. If you break 2,500, you could expect a 35% decrease. All right. Sorry about the dollar. Very important this week. Very important price action we had. We have resistance coming up. So I've been charting this dollar breakout. I don't think I showed it to the video, the viewers in this fashion. We probably seen it more like this with basic trend line. I think that's a little bit more easier on the eyes instead of all those lines. But we are in a dollar uptrend. We hit our head on a significant resistance. We'll talk about that. I'll probably throw that back on the chart. And we came down here to a significant support, and we're caught in the middle. We just drew liquidity. So prior to this week, erase all that. Let's go ahead and bring the charts back up. We drew liquidity above this level, this orange level. We could zoom in. Let's go down to a 4-hour. Get a little tad bit granular. This was a very important level. that we drew liquidity up here. I can't remember what event. It was a news event from not last week, the week prior. We came up there, we drew a lot of liquidity, and price delivered to the downside. This support once was resistance was very important from. I remember breaking it. I remember the break of that. We tested it as support. We just dipped the toe below. We drew liquidity. You can expect us to rotate to the upside. I don't think we'll rotate early on in the week to the upside, but by Friday's end, I think we have the opportunity to. I won't forecast or project myself on the markets, but we have a strong opportunity to close above here, which would lend to the expectation of downside in the markets, further downside. But in the meantime, this is a straight vertical move. You can expect some retrace, so a higher low before that going into Friday. And the distance that I'm drawing these lines, it's not necessary. I'm not saying it's going to take till November. But basically, early on in the week, you can expect some volatility where the dollar retraces a bit, probably get support around here before continuing higher, right? To end the week higher. That would be my expectations and what I would be looking for, and that sets the context of what to expect in the equity charts, right? So getting right into those. There's my again. Forgive me. Let's go back to the chart I would have shown for last week's video, and we can see how those trade paths played out. So last week we opened up here, and I know this chart is busy. I actively traded. Let's see if we could reduce some of the clutter. Hide indicators, maybe just show price candles, no indicators. Okay. That's a little bit better. Right. So as far as the breakdown of what did happen this week in the market, I'll start with what my expectations were. We opened up right here, right? And my expectations were from this open for us to remain here or lower. I was expecting to fill out this bottom third of the weekly expected move, right? If you consider this the expectation I had on the week, I thought if you divide that into thirds, I thought we'd spend majority of the time down here. We did not do that. We instantly rotated higher. If you watched the last video, I said if we did rotate higher, you should expect scalps in this range. That's exactly what we got. I was not expecting any too much price action in this zone here. It would be chop, and it's also thin structure, as I stated in that video, and we should rotate through it pretty quick, right? So we didn't get acceptance down here. We have not filled out volume down here in these lower levels. So that now that we have covered top, we're rotating through the middle. You can expect that this would be our destination going forward. I don't expect two-side trade too much in this area. We rotated nicely through this level, right? And that I guess that's what we could get into right now. Like, how did I execute on the week? So I chart on the MNQ, the minis, but my trades are mostly placed here on the NQ, right? I think I could show my Friday's trades. It may be possible. Let's see. Executions. Are my executions not showing up from Friday? No. Okay, so we can't show my executions. I think they're already calculated. We'll leave that alone. All right. But yeah, as far as my executions, I'll show you where I executed on this chart. So Friday, I caught the short right here, early Friday morning. I, I didn't participate too much on this upside here, and when I did, I didn't like my execution. That's why I say Monday early on, we were down, and I apologize for being all over the place, but this is mostly about conviction. I think that's what the thesis of this segment is about: trade conviction. When you spend time making a trade plan and you intimately discuss with yourself what you expect, you should exercise conviction in that, or else there's no point. I said on last Friday's video that what my expectations were, but I also had the the converse, whatever you want to call it, the opposite laid out to where, if what I expect doesn't happen, I could still make money, right? Because that's what this is all about. It's not about being right. It's about making money. So, you can have all the expectations in the world, but if life throws you a curveball and you have not not made any preparation for that, you'll be caught off guard. But if you're going to spend the time to make the preparation for it, you also have to execute on that which you prepared, right? So I expected to go down here. I got butthurt that we traded up here, even though it was up there and I knew what to expect if we were up here. I executed on it fairly well, not like I should have. I was still looking for it, and we ultimately did get the downside, but and I'll get into that later. But I could have capitalized more on this scalp range right here. I mean, this is some nice money, right? Even though it's not what I wanted, you have on average each one of these ranges, not to mention the decent scalps you could get intraday here. You're looking at 700 pips, right? On one contract alone, what is that? About $3,000, $3,200, right? Per trade, and that offered itself one, two, you could call that three, four times last week. So, it was potentially a 12K week just on range trading the 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 mid time frame move, right? Let alone now this right here was beautiful. I executed like heavenly right here Friday. As soon as Friday morning, I think this happened. You could look and tell it was not 7 o'clock. I remember I was in a chat room. I got the alarm that we touched. I shorted, and I was up about, you know, I don't know in tick value, but dollar value. I was up about $2,500 right here. And I slept through most of this. I put alarms. I would wake up, move my alarm to make sure I was managing the position. I think the only time I got worried that it might retrace that night was in this area, and it still continued to deliver to the downside. Uh, but 5 a.m. I know, yeah, 5 a.m. We started rotating higher. When we crossed this red line, I started adding to the position so that I could, take some contracts off and move my stop higher, right? That was my intention. Because I was adding, I would capitalize on some small time scalps. That way, moving my break even higher than my entry, if that makes sense. Like if I entered here and I scalp also alongside the trade, then it moves your break even farther back, right? And this is where, so all of that being said, I'm gonna tell you what did happen. I shorted. I got chopped up because I added to the short. It kept going higher. I exited the position, said I was gonna get back in when it touched the red line again. It got 25 ticks away from the red line, and then it gave me the trade that I was looking for all along. And ultimately, this was, I think for me, it would have been, and we could look at it again. I want to say that was about 12K. It could have been. Yeah, yeah, 1,200 ticks amounts to about 6K on one contract. But at one point, right here, I had three because I got chopped up. So a lot of things happened. Like I say, it was very dynamic trading. It went from sugar to shit real quick. No other way to say it but that. When you have the ultimate top tick buy, and I think I could get pictures of it too, because there are chat rooms where I participate in where I did share. Give me a second, I'm doing something off screen. I can find where, let's see, this would have been for me. Why can't I search myself? All right, it's not important. Maybe I'll get them for another time. But in here somewhere, yeah, here we go. I think I do have my trade execution somewhere. It's my video. Just hold on a sec. You can fast forward if you don't want to wait on this. I do understand that as well. But yeah. Anyway, it's not important. Just commit to, when you sit and make trade plans, commit to it. Getting into what I expect to happen next week, I think that's more important than dwelling on the past, right? But yeah, I missed out on a 3 contract short from the high of day by 25 ticks. So about $400 kept me away from $25,000, and that's a hard pill to swallow. I actually, in real life, cried yesterday. I did. That hurt, right? To be in the short, in profit, get chopped up, end up the day down 3K, and then the trade you were waiting on the whole time, actually transpires and goes to your target, right? That hurt, right? I got greedy. I didn't take any off the table when I was at 2K. I didn't trust my initial assessment because even though it went above my entry, I think my drawdown only would have went about 1K. So I was scared to lose 1K, lost 3K, and didn't make 25. There's a lot of ways to square that circle or whatever, to spin that narrative about what happened. So many things happened in less than 8 hours, in less than 5 hours, really. Went from sugar to shit real quick. Going into next week, what should we expect? Let's go ahead and move our expected move. So this is a weekly range right here from, let's see, so that should be ending about on the 19th. That ends on Thursday. We need to move it a tad bit more. Nope, not that one, this one. So that, why isn't it? Oh, because I forgot. All right, let's move this. It's missing a Monday. We need to move the Monday over too, right? This is Monday. And then this is the rest of the week. That's what we did last week, right? So it should look something like this. We could scoot our chart over. Now we should have Friday. So yeah, this is a Friday. All right. So Monday, as far as range, I don't think Monday's top is gonna come way up above that head and shoulders. I would expect Monday, the high of Monday, to be right about right there. That said, the week at all will not. I don't expect it to go that high. If we look at the parabola, if we're not to go above the neckline of the head and shoulders, that means the bottom I would expect to be bounded by, let's try to get this, bounded by the monthly expected move. Like, I remember I think that white line, no, it was a blue line that I have for the monthly down there. Right, so we got a little bit more time in the month. So I could delete this now. All right, so just setting expectations of what we should look at. what was the close? So settlement, we need to get these touching or it messes up our math. Settlement, let's zoom in. We could go all the way down. Where did prices settle out? They settled out right here. Let's change the color of that so I'm able to see it when I zoom back out. Let's get us a nice big black solid line. Okay. So that was settlement. We can clear up some of these just so that I'm able to see settlement better. They're not that important right now. Let's zoom back up, go a little higher. All right, so we don't need to be that high. I'm sorry, I'm just talking my way through these charts. We're finding out where we're gonna move in real time. This is something you should learn to do for yourself. You don't have to do it this way. Whatever your method is for finding out what your expectations should be, you should talk yourself through it because, all right, so anyway, enough of that. Let's see, where are we going? So again, this overall supply, which also comes from back here, there's a lot of supply overhead, you know, there's a lot of structure, high time frame structure here in our overall parabolic down move that we broke a bit. That, all right, you remember that the context from last week on why I feel like we're overall headed lower, because we're bounded by the parabola, and we had the upside parabola that got us in this chop zone from Monday, right? That's why we were there. And we ultimately broke under the underside of it Monday. Okay, so yeah, we haven't talked about this yet, but Monday that filled out a head and shoulders, which the neckline of which is the same neckline from the high time head and shoulders. So there's a lot of supply, excuse me, above this area right here, right? The top of where I have the week. I do not, if we dip a toe in there, it's an excellent short. We're coming right back in, right? So, I mean, I would love, right, for us to open and go up there, because I mean, I'm shorting the heck out of it. That's instant profit, right? That said, that would be the weekly high. I don't expect us to go that low. On the bottom side, you see how price respected the green parabola there. You're gonna get that same respect down here. So should we rotate lower? You know, you can expect that. No, going back into, you know, the dollar. What did we say about the dollar? The dollar is going to ultimately end higher, right? Ultimately, the dollar, I expect it to take out this. It's at least gonna touch it, but I don't think that'll happen until end of week, right? I think before we get up there, we, you know, and you should look for this early on. We should draw some liquidity from lower first and then rotate higher. Hope, you know, something like that, right? That's what you would expect for price action. And I probably should annotate the weekly end, that way you could get more, I could get more out of this. But if the dollar, and it all matters where it opens, you know, if we could open gap down, rotate lower, grab liquidity, open through the weekly gap, we'll base out here. We might get a toe outside, but ultimately by end of Friday, I want to see us rotate to the top of this purple channel. Now, keeping that in context, right? Let's go back to, so if the dollar is rotating lower, right? Dollar's rotating lower, you can expect price to be going higher, right? And that would get us here, right? So the dollar will be grabbing liquidity lower, price will be grabbing liquidity from higher. It may dip a toe out, but ultimately that's your short. and that would be when the dollar is rallying, right? And we would base out in this area and go lower and end somewhere up in here, right? Um, that won't happen all. I think in this scenario, I have all of that happening in 2 days, but you would want to span that out over the course of the week. So you have like Sunday and Monday trading will get lower. Um, I expect us to, huh? Let's see. Let's zoom down. So we may go a little bit lower than this for the whole week because I think by Tuesday, Monday, that would be the lows. What day is this in? Sunday down there. Let's extend this lower to about right there. Right, because Friday price will be down there. All right, now let's go back in. So we don't have to, I don't think we'll be down here early on in the week, but Monday higher. Tuesday, what structure do we have to support ourselves off of? So yeah, this is that liquidity void. Once we break this yellow line, price is gonna move straight through it, right? And that's kind of what happened um Friday. Oh, Friday. It's kind of what happened Friday. We got that awesome short. Um, yeah, that sucks. But below the yellow is where you could get two-sided trades. So let's go over this one more time. Monday higher, rotate through liquidity, probably get there pretty quick. We'll chop around in this area, lower to high, something like that. That's ugly. I'll probably refine that off the video. I apologize to anybody that watches the video. Let's see if I can clean this up just a tad. I know I did see some views, so somebody out there respects my opinion, or at least just cared enough to watch the video. It's cool. Really appreciate that. I want to do like some live trading. I'll have to get better at making videos before I could think about going live, right? And get some viewers up so that I'm just not in a live stream by myself. That sounds depressing. You're streaming live to 2 viewers. You got to start somewhere. I understand, but we'll use these arrows. So Monday we draw liquidity. Hey, I wanted to use the arrows. Keep them on. Let's lock that down. Monday we'll draw Sunday's opening the Monday. We'll draw some liquidity. And then we'll come down here. We'll get some two-sided trading. We'll not too much two-sided trading, but you could get your rejection, your little, what do you call these, little micro consolidations in there, right? And then the bulk of the consolidation, I would say, would be like Wednesday or so. And we'll have to keep this in conjunction with like the news calendar. You may, all right, and then something like this. All right, and I do that because for a lot of reasons. One, let's get the news back up here. We talked about the news events for next week. Monday, there is no real news, right? And Monday, the news market is pretty light. So if you were gonna go up, if they were gonna just let things happen, a little consolidation, liquidity grabs, it'll be Monday. Retail sales is Tuesday. That's when you should start expecting some downside, right? If you look at the chart, Monday. So let's just put this side by side. Can I make this smaller over here? And then bring it over a tad so we can have the dates. All right, so Monday we have a light news. That's if you were gonna get some upside, some just Brownian motion in the markets, you would expect to see that Monday. Tuesday, right? Tuesday when we get retail sales, you could look at the chart, right? And this is why I like to tell people you could look at the news all you want, but the news releases are already in the charts. Retail sales being a bullish number is not in the charts. Whatever, you got the buy the rumor, sell the news. Whatever the news event is, you can look at this chart. There's no way we're breaking into all this overhead supply. We spent last week early on creating it. It wasn't put there to be broken. There's so much supply when we hit this line, and we will hit it next week just because we need to go up there and draw that liquidity, right? People are short. We got a lot of shorts. I bet value rotated lower. A lot of people short end of the day, especially how it was going down at the end of the day, right? All those people will get squeezed out. We'll draw on some of this sell side liquidity and rotate lower. Monday, retail sales will be your catalyst as far as your narrative for that. Uh, Wednesday, we get some Waller speak. So where is Wednesday on my chart? Wednesday right here after retail sales. You might get that little two-sided price action, right? But unemployment claims on Thursday. You'll probably end up right below this liquidity zone void right here. And that's where we'll sell off from when we get unemployment. Fed has a dual mandate, price stability, and decent employment. That's going to be our catalyst to rotate lower. And then we have Powell to say they'll probably be complaining by then. Markets are rotating lower, and Powell, that's his time to remain hawkish, right? Remain restrictive, right? It's earnings season. I think we're gonna start seeing a lot of the repercussions from all of the previous rate hikes. We're gonna start seeing them in the numbers. You can expect to see that. It'll be important to see how tech performs going into these earnings. I need to get our earnings calendar up so that we could know what we have for the week coming ahead. But yeah, I think this pretty much. And I mean, I could even see the parabolic nature of this move now that I'm looking at it. I feel pretty decent about this move right here, as being the move to look for. I would expect some kind of I of course I can't just draw candles, but basically this trajectory for next week is what I'd be looking for us to this would be our path floor, right? I'll probably refine this a bit later, when I'm burning midnight oil 2-3 in the morning, staring at charts, getting all my trend lines, because if you look at them, they're pretty precise, right? When you're trading this, you don't have time for anything to be all estimated. When you're trying to enter and exit on the ticks, it's very important. So but basically when you look, and I can't give financial advice, I think this is a good place to end the video. I think we're gonna do that. I enjoyed it. It really lifted my spirits from Friday. We're gonna do good things on Friday as well. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you if you made it to the end of my rambling of somewhat seemingly, in hindsight, it feels like it was incoherent. I'll listen to the video. I'm not going to edit it. I think I'm just going to get better at speaking. I'm not sure how many times I said I kind of did get away from counting them because I was absorbed in the price action. Thank you. Trade well, trade smart, trade on. Darnell Price out. Thanks for viewing another episode of Momentum Movers with Darnell Price. Have a good week.